All right, so moving forward with a what do they need to make the playoffs, or make at least a championship run, because we know the Golden State Warriors will be making the playoffs. What do the Golden State Warriors need to win an NBA championship? We're going to start with Ben.
I think very simply they just need health. Bogut, who's been hurt for much of his NBA career, needs to be there in the playoffs, needs to be a force inside, needs to be a rim protector during the playoffs, and they need health from everybody else. And they don't need to do what we now will refer to as pulling a pacer. Don't take the best team in the league and make a bold late season trade to add another player, to add Evan Turner and mess up your continuity.
Well, actually, I don't think they need anything. I have to agree with, yes, they need health, but everybody in the NBA needs health. We all need health, even those of us not in the NBA. So they really don't need much. Of course, Bogut's the key to this thing, but if the two backcourt guys stay healthy, which there's no reason to think they won't, and Bogut comes around, these guys will win the NBA championship. I've been watching them. This team is playing on both sides of the court. They're playing hard. They can score. They're clutch. They don't need much.
We
all need health.
We all need health.
I try to take a sports topic and transcend it into regular life.
They've become a really good defensive team.
Yeah.
So much so that when they were down at halftime to Dallas this week, and Dallas put up over 40 in the first quarter, and I think it was 62-58 at the break, and the over-under in the second half was 110, and I was like, oh my God, the Warriors, under that, this game will slow down massively. Then the Warriors went ahead and scored 40-something points in the third quarter, rendering the bet wrong. But still, in the fourth quarter, that Warrior defense was, Dallas scored 16 points. They clamped down when they had to and took over that game.
Do you know who the third leading scorer on that team is? I didn't know until that game. I was watching that game.
The third leading scorer on the Warriors?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing David Lee is the wrong answer.
David Lee is the wrong answer. I believe it's Spates. Can I be?
Throw it out there.
Can I be confirmed? Give me some numbers there.
12.3 points per game.
Yeah, I mean that's really they're getting.
And that's third.
Yeah, and that's third.
Those two guys score a lot of points.
Yeah. That's the moral here. Is those guys score a lot of points. It's just these guys they're a championship ready team. It's very clear that the last 2 years they made those little steps in the playoffs, and then this whole season has been for the big run. There's a little bit of that element of, are they going to be one of these teams that gets there a tiny bit too early? But I don't think so with them. I think they're ready.
You know who knows a lot about basketball? Phil Jackson. Because remember, he wanted Steve Kerr. He did all he could to get Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
He knew that even though this guy had not yet been a head coach, that he could do this. And I suspect that if Kerr were in New York, instead of being 8-69 or whatever the hell they are.
Ben, they got the 10th win.
I got you.
There's a
so
10.
they might be 12-57, but I don't think you can turn that around. But clearly, they made the right decision. The Warriors ownership group made the right decision to let Mark Jackson go.
Yeah.
But not so much because of Jackson's failure, just because that Steve Kerr was the right choice.
Talk about a guy that's just a pro at everything that he does. Steve Kerr, just the way he played. A zillion big shots that we can think of with the Bulls, especially. But then as a broadcaster, he was a great broadcaster.
He was a good broadcaster, right?
He's been a great front office guy. He's been a great coach now. Like somebody that really, truly knows the ins and outs of basketball.
It was an interesting thing about Steve Kerr. The story of his father? His dad was may have been the ambassador to Lebanon, the Beirut ambassador.
Oh, yeah.
But if not, he worked in the embassy. I think it was the Malcolm Kerr, I think. And he was killed in terrorist attack or killed by terrorists in the early 80s when Steve Kerr was at University of Arizona.
Wow.
And talk about, and then in what can only bring constant shame to the school. So I didn't plan on talking about this, so I hope I have this right. But at Arizona State, when Arizona would play Arizona State, the fans, at least once, and maybe more than that, chanted, "Where's your daddy? Where's your daddy?"
No shit.
Yeah, right. So, talk about a guy who, and he blocked that out, removed that, and so that toughens a guy up, and he's clearly smart and thoughtful and interesting. He's the kind of guy you want to see succeed in sports.
All right, well, now that I know that, I'm absolutely rooting for
the Warriors
to win the championship.
And against Arizona State for the rest of time.
I'm never even going to the state of Arizona ever again.
So, Ben, Malcolm Kerr was the president of the American University of Beirut.
That's right. He was president of the American University. But I think I'm right about Arizona State. Forever bringing shame to Sun Devil Nation.
That's just insane.